Have you ever wondered why the very fabric of reality seems to change the moment you open your eyes? It is a question that sounds like a philosophical riddle, but it is one of the most profound scientific mysteries of our time. You wake up in the morning, the room is quiet, the light is soft, and everything feels solid and predictable. But beneath that gentle illusion, at the smallest scales of existence, the universe operates under rules that defy human intuition, creating a profound contradiction between our everyday human perception and the true nature of cosmic reality. We are accustomed to a world that remains exactly as it is, whether we are looking at it or not. The moon continues its silent orbit. The ancient mountains stand tall, and the vast oceans ebb and flow in the dark, entirely indifferent to our observation. Yet, when we peer into the quantum realm, this comforting certainty dissolves into a profound mystery. The basic building blocks of nature appear to exist in a hazy state of infinite possibilities, only solidifying into a single reality when a conscious observer decides to measure them. Before we dive deeper into this quiet journey of the mind, I would like to take a brief moment to introduce myself. I am Theodore, the researcher, your guide through the greatest mysteries of the cosmos. I have noticed that 71% of the people who watch these videos are not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find peace and intellectual safety in our explorations, please consider subscribing. It helps us immensely and ensures we can continue unraveling the universe together. Now, let us return to the darkness of the quantum world. The phenomenon we are going to explore today touches upon the very essence of what you are. For centuries, science has treated consciousness as a mere byproduct of biological machinery. We have mapped the human brain, tracing the complex webs of billions of neurons firing in intricate patterns. We have learned how chemicals flow, how electrical signals jump across synapses, and how these physical processes correlate with our thoughts, emotions, and memories. But despite all this rigorous mapping, there remains a gaping void in our understanding, a chasm that philosophers call the hard problem of consciousness. How does the objective movement of physical matter translate into the subjective experience of feeling alive? How does a collection of atoms, forged in the fiery hearts of ancient stars, suddenly wake up, look out into the infinite darkness and say, "I am here"? Think about the atoms in your body right now. They are the same types of atoms that drift through the cold silence of the interstellar void. They are the same elements that make up the distant, swirling galaxies that stretch across the vast cosmos. For billions of years, these particles floated blindly through the universe, participating in the endless dance of gravity and energy. They formed nebulas, they ignited into suns, they exploded in brilliant supernovas, and they eventually coalesced into the rock we call Earth. Through a staggering sequence of highly improbable events, those exact same blind, unthinking atoms are now arranged in a specific configuration inside your head, allowing you to comprehend these very words. You are the universe experiencing itself. You are the cosmos waking up from a deep, multi-billion-year slumber. This realization alone should fill you with a deep, reverent wonder. But the mystery grows even deeper when we turn our gaze away from the massive scale of galaxies and look inward, down into the microscopic depths of quantum mechanics. At the turn of the 20th century, physicists began to realize that the classical laws of physics, the rules that govern falling apples and orbiting planets, completely break down when applied to the smallest constituents of matter. Have you ever wondered why the very fabric of reality seems to change the moment you open your eyes? It is a question that sounds like a philosophical riddle, but it is one of the most profound scientific mysteries of our time. You wake up in the morning, the room is quiet, the light is soft, and everything feels solid and predictable. But beneath that gentle illusion, at the smallest scales of existence, the universe operates under rules that defy human intuition, creating a profound contradiction between our everyday human perception and the true nature of cosmic reality. We are accustomed to a world that remains exactly as it is, whether we are looking at it or not. The moon continues its silent orbit. The ancient mountains stand tall, and the vast oceans ebb and flow in the dark, entirely indifferent to our observation. Yet, when we peer into the quantum realm, this comforting certainty dissolves into a profound mystery. The basic building blocks of nature appear to exist in a hazy state of infinite possibilities, only solidifying into a single reality when a conscious observer decides to measure them. Before we dive deeper into this quiet journey of the mind, I would like to take a brief moment to introduce myself. I am Theodore, the researcher, your guide through the greatest mysteries of the cosmos. I have noticed that 71% of the people who watch these videos are not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find peace and intellectual safety in our explorations, please consider subscribing. It helps us immensely and ensures we can continue unraveling the universe together. Now, let us return to the darkness of the quantum world. The phenomenon we are going to explore today touches upon the very essence of what you are. For centuries, science has treated consciousness as a mere byproduct of biological machinery. We have mapped the human brain, tracing the complex webs of billions of neurons firing in intricate patterns. We have learned how chemicals flow, how electrical signals jump across synapses, and how these physical processes correlate with our thoughts, emotions, and memories. But despite all this rigorous mapping, there remains a gaping void in our understanding, a chasm that philosophers call the hard problem of consciousness. How does the objective movement of physical matter translate into the subjective experience of feeling alive? How does a collection of atoms, forged in the fiery hearts of ancient stars, suddenly wake up, look out into the infinite darkness and say, "I am here"? Think about the atoms in your body right now. They are the same types of atoms that drift through the cold silence of the interstellar void. They are the same elements that make up the distant, swirling galaxies that stretch across the vast cosmos. For billions of years, these particles floated blindly through the universe, participating in the endless dance of gravity and energy. They formed nebulas, they ignited into suns, they exploded in brilliant supernovas, and they eventually coalesced into the rock we call Earth. Through a staggering sequence of highly improbable events, those exact same blind, unthinking atoms are now arranged in a specific configuration inside your head, allowing you to comprehend these very words. You are the universe experiencing itself. You are the cosmos waking up from a deep, multi-billion-year slumber. This realization alone should fill you with a deep, reverent wonder. But the mystery grows even deeper when we turn our gaze away from the massive scale of galaxies and look inward, down into the microscopic depths of quantum mechanics. At the turn of the 20th century, physicists began to realize that the classical laws of physics, the rules that govern falling apples and orbiting planets, completely break down when applied to the smallest constituents of matter. When scientists first conducted the famous double-slit experiment, they expected to see light and matter behaving in a predictable, mechanical way. Instead, they discovered a reality so bizarre that it terrified the greatest minds of the era. If you fire a single particle like an electron toward a barrier with two tiny slits, you would expect it to pass through one slit or the other, much like a tennis ball bouncing through a doorway. But when left unobserved, the electron does not choose a single path. Instead, it behaves like a gentle ripple on a quiet pond, passing through both slits simultaneously, interfering with itself, and creating a wave pattern on the screen behind. The particle exists in a state of quantum superposition, a ghostly suspension of all possible realities happening at once. But here is the twist, the plot twist, that still keeps brilliant physicists awake at night. If you place a detector at the slits to observe which path the electron actually takes, the wave function immediately collapses. The electron stops acting like a wave of infinite possibilities and instantly behaves like a solid, predictable particle, passing through only one slit. It is as if the universe knows it is being watched. It is as if the very act of observation, the mere presence of consciousness, forces the cosmos to make a choice. This is known as the observer effect, and it fundamentally shatters our intuitive understanding of objective reality. For decades, the scientific establishment tried to ignore the philosophical implications of this discovery. They argued that the measuring instruments themselves caused the collapse, that it was merely a physical interaction between the detector and the particle. But as experiments grew more sophisticated and more isolated from physical interference, the paradox persisted. The inescapable conclusion began to creep into the minds of theoretical physicists. Reality might not be fully formed until it is perceived. This brings us to the astonishing theory that bridges the gap between the infinite vastness of the universe and the quiet stillness of your own mind. What if consciousness is not a biological illusion created by the brain? What if consciousness is a fundamental property of the universe itself, much like mass, gravity, or electrical charge? This idea, once relegated to the fringes of mystical thought, is now being explored through the rigorous lens of quantum mechanics. Pioneering scientists, including renowned physicists, have proposed that the human brain might not be a generator of consciousness, but rather a highly evolved receiver, a quantum antenna tuned to the fundamental frequencies of the cosmos. They suggest that inside the neurons of our brains, there are microscopic structures capable of maintaining delicate quantum states. According to this theory, every time a quantum wave function collapses within these structures, a moment of conscious experience is born. If this theory holds true, the implications are staggering. It would mean that your awareness, the silent observer behind your eyes, is not isolated inside your skull. It would mean that your consciousness is intimately woven into the very fabric of space and time. When you feel a sense of peace looking up at the night sky, when you experience awe at the sheer scale of the universe, it might not just be a psychological reaction. It might be a physical resonance, a literal connection between the quantum vibrations in your mind and the ancient, primordial rhythm of the cosmos. You are not a detached observer looking at the universe from the outside. You are an active participant in its ongoing creation. Every time you open your eyes, every time you choose to observe, you are collapsing wave functions, crystallizing a universe of infinite possibilities into a single, concrete reality. To truly grasp the magnitude of this concept, we must slow down and allow the mind to absorb the beauty of our own existence. Imagine the sheer silence of the universe before the first conscious mind flickered into existence. For billions of years, galaxies spun, stars burned, and black holes devoured light, all in total, unobserved darkness. There was no one to witness the majesty, no one to feel the warmth, no one to look at the swirling clouds of gas and call them beautiful. The universe was an endless ocean of uncollapsed quantum waves, a vast symphony playing to an empty auditorium. And then, through the gentle, persistent march of evolution, matter organized itself into a form capable of reflection. The first eye opened. The first wave function collapsed through biological observation. The universe saw itself for the very first time. You are the continuation of that ancient awakening. Every quiet moment you spend reflecting on these mysteries, every time you feel the pull of curiosity, you are honoring the deepest purpose of existence. Consider for a moment the gentle rhythm of your own breathing. With every breath you take, millions of atoms flow into your lungs, oxygenating your blood and eventually finding their way into your brain. These atoms were once part of the atmosphere of the early Earth. They might have been breathed by ancient creatures wandering through primeval forests. Some of them might have floated through the rings of distant planets or traveled across the empty void of intergalactic space. Now, they are here, inside you, sustaining the quantum coherence that allows you to experience this very moment. Your body is a temporary meeting place for the universe's scattered pieces, a quiet sanctuary where matter can pause its restless wandering and simply experience being alive. When we realize that we are constructed from the same material as the stars, and that our minds might operate on the exact same quantum principles that govern the most fundamental particles of reality, the boundaries between the self and the universe begin to dissolve. You are not a lonely creature stranded on a rock, hurtling through cold space. You are a localized concentration of the universe's infinite awareness. The vastness outside is mirrored by an equally profound vastness inside. The mystery of the cosmos is not just something out there waiting to be discovered. It is something within you, beating in your chest and waiting to be understood through quiet contemplation. We live our daily lives caught up in small concerns, distracted by the noisy demands of human society. But beneath all of that noise, the silent truth of our existence remains. We are quantum beings, woven from ancient starlight, participating in a cosmic dance that began nearly 14 billion years ago. The scientific establishment may be terrified by the idea that consciousness is a fundamental wave woven into reality, because it forces us to rewrite the entire narrative of physics. It challenges the safe, materialistic view of a mechanical universe and replaces it with something much more profound and infinitely more beautiful. For us, this theory does not have to be terrifying. It can be incredibly comforting. It tells us that our capacity for wonder is a necessary function of the universe, attempting to understand its own magnificent complexity. As we prepare to delve deeper into the specific mechanisms of this theory, allow yourself to rest in the comfort of this expanded perspective. Allow the silence of the infinite to quiet your mind. Do not be afraid of the vastness of this mystery. Let the uncertainty wash over you like a soothing wave. Let the knowledge that you are a vital, integral part of the cosmos bring you profound peace. Have you ever tried to pinpoint exactly where your thoughts come from? You close your eyes, and in the quiet theater of your mind, an entire world of memories, colors, and sounds instantly springs into existence. It is a deeply personal, entirely subjective experience that feels entirely disconnected from the physical world. Yet, if a surgeon were to open your skull, they would not find a glowing center of imagination, nor would they find a tiny observer watching a screen. They would find a 3-pound mass of gray and white tissue, a biological machine composed of nearly 86 billion neurons firing in the dark. For decades, traditional neuroscience has told us that this physical firing of neurons is all there is, that consciousness is merely an illusion generated by complex biological algorithms. But when we look closer, when we truly peer into the microscopic architecture of these cells, the classical explanation begins to unravel, revealing a mystery far more profound than we ever dared to imagine. Before we step further into this intricate labyrinth of the mind, I want to gently remind you of our ongoing journey together. I am Theodore, the researcher, your companion in these explorations of the unknown. I have noticed that 71% of the people who watch our quiet journeys have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find value in these moments of stillness and scientific wonder, please consider subscribing. It helps us enormously and ensures that our shared journey of discovery can continue. Now, let us return to the hidden structures within your brain. To understand the true depth of this mystery, we must zoom in past the neurons, past the synapses, and dive into the subcellular structures that keep these brain cells alive. Deep inside every neuron, forming the scaffolding of the cell, lies a network of tiny, hollow tubes known as microtubules. For a long time, biologists thought these structures were nothing more than a biological skeleton, a structural support system to keep the cell from collapsing. But a brilliant collaboration between a renowned mathematical physicist and an anesthesiologist proposed something entirely revolutionary. They suggested that these microscopic tubes might actually be acting as quantum computers, tiny antennas capable of isolating and maintaining delicate quantum states in the warm, wet environment of the brain. The theory is known as orchestrated objective reduction, and it posits that the fundamental processing of consciousness happens not at the chemical level of synapses, but at the quantum level within these microtubules. This idea completely challenges our understanding of biology. In the past, physicists believed that quantum coherence, the fragile state where particles exist in multiple possibilities at once, could only survive in completely isolated, extremely cold environments, like the absolute zero temperatures required for laboratory quantum computers. The human brain, being a warm and incredibly messy biological system, was thought to be too noisy for quantum effects to play any significant role. The random jiggling of molecules, the constant flow of heat and fluid, should theoretically destroy any delicate quantum wave in an instant, a process known as environmental decoherence. But nature, it seems, has found a way to preserve the silence of the quantum realm amidst the chaos of biology. We now know that quantum biology is not just a theoretical fantasy. It is a measurable reality happening all around us. Take the European robin, a small, unassuming bird that travels thousands of miles during its annual migration. Scientists have discovered that these birds navigate using a quantum compass located in their eyes. When a photon of light enters the bird's eye, it creates a pair of entangled electrons. These electrons, bound by the strange rules of quantum mechanics, are sensitive to the incredibly weak magnetic field of the Earth, allowing the bird to literally see the magnetic lines guiding it home. Or consider the ancient process of photosynthesis, the foundation of almost all life on Earth. When a plant captures a photon of sunlight, the energy does not bounce randomly through the cell to reach the reaction center. Instead, it enters a state of quantum superposition, traveling all possible paths simultaneously to find the absolute most efficient route. If plants and birds have harnessed the bizarre laws of the quantum world over billions of years of evolution, is it so difficult to imagine that the human brain, the most complex structure in the known universe, has done the same. If microtubules in the brain are indeed maintaining quantum coherence, then your thoughts, your feelings, and your very sense of self are not just chemical reactions. They are quantum events. Every time a moment of consciousness occurs, it might be the result of a coordinated collapse of countless quantum waves across the microtubule networks in your brain. This means that your mind is operating on the exact same fundamental principles that govern the birth of stars and the behavior of subatomic particles in the vast vacuum of space. The isolation you sometimes feel, the sense that you are an entity separate from the physical universe, is an illusion. You are intimately connected to the deepest, most fundamental layer of reality. The universe is not a giant, unfeeling machine. It is a dynamic, interconnected web of quantum information. And your consciousness is a localized manifestation of that universal web. This brings us to a profound philosophical implication, one that carries a gentle, quiet authority over our understanding of existence. If consciousness is a fundamental property of the universe, then it was here long before humanity arrived, and it will remain long after we are gone. The cosmos is not empty. The silence of space is not a dead, barren void. It is brimming with potential, a vast ocean of uncollapsed possibilities waiting to be experienced. When you look up at the night sky and feel a sense of overwhelming awe, when you feel humbled by the infinite stretch of the Milky Way, you are not just a biological organism reacting to visual stimuli. You are a piece of the universe recognizing itself. The wonder you feel is the cosmos feeling wonder at its own majesty. This realization should not make you feel small or insignificant. Instead, it should fill you with a profound sense of peace. You belong here. You are as natural and as necessary to the universe as the ancient galaxies slowly rotating in the deep dark. Let us imagine for a moment the journey of a single photon of light traveling from a distant star. For millions, perhaps billions of years, this tiny packet of energy travels through the freezing, silent emptiness of space. It passes by forgotten planets, weaves through vast clouds of interstellar dust, and crosses the immense voids between galaxies. For all those eons, it exists in a state of pure potential, a wave of light untethered to any specific reality. Then, after an unimaginably long journey, it reaches our solar system. It pierces the atmosphere of Earth, travels through the quiet night air, and enters your eye as you look up at the sky. In that exact fraction of a second, the photon interacts with the retina of your eye, and its quantum wave function collapses. The infinite possibilities vanish, replaced by a single, concrete reality. You see a twinkle of starlight. But here is the extraordinary part. According to the interpretations of quantum mechanics that we are exploring, the photon did not simply end its journey in your eye. Your conscious observation of that light is what forced the universe to finalize the photon's reality. By looking at the star, you actively participated in an event that began billions of years ago. You are the final destination of that ancient light, the conscious endpoint that gives the physical universe its definite shape. This profound interplay between the observer and the observed is what makes the quantum theory of consciousness so uniquely beautiful, even as it terrifies scientists who prefer a more mechanical, predictable cosmos. We have been conditioned to believe that we are passive spectators sitting in the grand theater of the universe, watching the play unfold without any ability to influence the script. But if consciousness is a quantum wave, then we are not just the audience. We are the playwrights, the actors, and the stage itself. The universe is a collaborative masterpiece, and every conscious mind is a vital contributor to its ongoing creation. This perspective shifts our relationship with the unknown from one of fear to one of deep, respectful admiration. The mysteries of the cosmos are not problems to be solved and discarded. They are invitations to explore the tension between the known and the unknown. When we realize that our minds are woven from the same quantum threads as the fabric of space-time, the everyday anxieties that plague human life begin to lose their sharp edges. Let the magnitude of this concept settle gently into your thoughts as we prepare to explore further into this beautiful unknown. Have you ever found yourself staring out a window, wondering what would have happened if you had made a different choice? We all carry the quiet ghosts of paths untaken. You wonder what your life would look like if you had taken that other job, moved to a different city, or spoken a truth you chose to keep hidden. In our everyday experience, a choice is a door that locks behind us, leaving only one tangible reality, while all other possibilities dissolve into the realm of imagination. But what if I told you that in the strict mathematical equations of quantum physics, those unchosen paths do not disappear at all? What if the universe does not force you to choose, but instead splits itself to accommodate every possible outcome, creating a vast branching tree of endless realities? This is not just science fiction. It is one of the most rigorously debated interpretations of quantum mechanics, and it challenges our fundamental perception of reality and human consciousness. It asks us to reconsider everything we thought we knew about the nature of existence and our place within it. Before we step across the threshold into this labyrinth of infinite universes, I want to take a gentle pause. I am Theodore, the researcher, your quiet companion on this journey through the cosmos. I have noticed that 71% of you who travel these quiet roads with us have not yet subscribed to the channel. If these moments of deep reflection bring a sense of peace to your day, please consider subscribing. It is a small gesture that helps us tremendously, allowing us to continue exploring the beautiful mysteries of existence together. Now, let us return to the branching paths of the quantum realm and the secrets they hold. In the late 1950s, a brilliant young physicist named Hugh Everett proposed a solution to the quantum measurement problem that was so radical, so mathematically pure, and so deeply unsettling to the scientific establishment that it effectively ended his academic career at the time. We have already explored how a quantum wave function represents a particle existing in a superposition of multiple states, only collapsing into a single reality when observed. Everett looked at the mathematics of this collapse and asked a dangerous revolutionary question. What if the wave function never actually collapses? What if the equations are completely literal and the universe simply splits into multiple versions of itself every time a quantum interaction occurs? According to his many worlds interpretation, the observer does not force the universe to choose a single reality. Instead, the observer becomes entangled with the quantum system, and the entire universe branches. In one reality, you measure an electron spinning upwards. In a parallel, equally real universe, another version of you measures the electron spinning downwards. Both outcomes occur. Both realities exist. Both versions of you are fully conscious, each entirely unaware of the other's existence. This concept is staggering when you attempt to scale it up to the level of human consciousness and the choices we make every single day. The human brain, with its nearly 86 billion neurons and trillions of synaptic connections, is a hotbed of molecular and quantum activity. If the many worlds theory is correct, and if consciousness is intimately tied to quantum states, as we discussed earlier, then every time a quantum superposition within your brain resolves into a decision, the universe diverges. The reality where you chose to turn left exists alongside a reality where you chose to turn right. The path untaken is not lost. It is simply being experienced by a version of you whose timeline split away from yours a fraction of a second ago. Scientists are often terrified by this idea because it shatters the illusion of a singular, manageable universe. It suggests an infinite multiverse of staggering complexity, a cosmos that is constantly multiplying itself into a breathtaking fractal of existence. Yet, there is a profound, almost overwhelming beauty in this concept. It implies that the universe is incredibly generous, unwilling to let any potential reality go unexperienced. To truly understand how deeply intertwined our consciousness might be with the fabric of reality, we must look at another mind-bending quantum phenomenon: entanglement. Albert Einstein famously called it spooky action at a distance because it completely defies our common-sense understanding of space. When two particles interact, they become entangled. Their quantum states become permanently linked, no matter how far apart they are separated. You could take one entangled electron and keep it here on Earth, and send its partner to the very edge of the observable universe, more than 46 billion light-years away. If you measure the spin of the electron on Earth, forcing its wave function to assume a definite state, its partner across the cosmos will instantly assume the opposite spin. The information does not travel at the speed of light. The connection is instantaneous. This implies that at a fundamental quantum level, space is an illusion. Everything that was once connected remains connected. Now, remember the Big Bang. Nearly 14 billion years ago, all the matter and energy in the entire universe was compressed into a single, infinitely dense point. Every particle that makes up your body, every atom in the distant galaxies, every molecule of water in the vast oceans, was once squeezed together in a state of absolute unity. This means that, in a very real mathematical sense, the particles that make up your brain are still entangled with the particles at the farthest reaches of the cosmos. Your consciousness is not an isolated event happening inside a biological shell. It is a localized node in a universe-wide web of quantum entanglement. When you observe the world, when you feel a sense of wonder looking at a photograph of a distant nebula, you're experiencing a resonant echo of that original, ancient connection. You are the universe remembering its own birth, feeling the gentle tug of an entanglement that spans billions of years. This brings us to a profound experiment that bends not just our understanding of space, but our perception of time itself. In the late 20th century, physicist John Archibald Wheeler proposed a variation of the double-slit experiment, known as the delayed choice quantum eraser. It was designed to ask an impossible question. Can a measurement made in the present change the behavior of a particle in the past? When scientists finally performed this experiment, the results were astonishing. They discovered that if they waited to observe the path of a photon until after it had already passed through the slits, the photon would retroactively change its behavior. If they chose to observe it, the photon acted as a particle from the very beginning. If they chose not to observe it, it acted as a wave. The conscious choice made in the present moment reached backwards through time to dictate the history of the particle. This finding completely upends our linear experience of time. We are used to thinking of the past as a solid, unchangeable foundation upon which the present is built. But the quantum world suggests that the past is fluid, a haze of probabilities that remains unresolved until the present consciousness demands a definite answer. Your active observation does not just create reality going forward, it solidifies the history that led up to this exact moment. If consciousness is indeed a quantum wave, then you are not just floating down a river of time. You are actively participating in the creation of time itself. Every moment of awareness anchors the present, resolves the past, and branches into the infinite possibilities of the future. You are a co-creator of the cosmic timeline, weaving the fabric of existence with every choice you make. Think about the immense pressure we place on ourselves to make the right decisions in our daily lives. We agonize over our choices, carrying the heavy burden of regret for the things we failed to do, the words we failed to say, or the opportunities we let slip away. We view our lives as a single, fragile thread that can easily be ruined by one wrong turn. But if consciousness is a quantum wave navigating a multiverse of infinite branches, then every choice you could have possibly made is currently being lived somewhere in the grand architecture of reality. The version of you that exists right here, reading these words or listening to this voice, is simply the consciousness navigating this specific branch of the cosmic tree. You do not need to carry the weight of the paths you did not take, because those paths are not empty. They are full of life, full of experience, and full of you. This perspective does not render our choices meaningless. Rather, it liberates us from the paralyzing fear of failure. It invites a gentle humility before the vastness of what is possible, transforming our everyday anxieties into a quiet appreciation for the specific reality we happen to inhabit in this exact moment. And yet, amid this incomprehensible storm of multiplying realities, your consciousness remains anchored and perfectly coherent. Your mind strings together these infinite quantum moments into a smooth, continuous narrative that you call your life, a beautiful illusion of stability in a cosmos defined by endless splitting. You are a localized point of awareness, cutting a unique, unrepeatable path through an infinite forest of realities. The silence of the night sky is not a void. It is the hushed presence of infinite worlds layered on top of one another, separated only by the thinnest veil of quantum probability. We often look out into the dark spaces between the stars and wonder if there is anyone else out there searching for a connection in the cold void. But perhaps the most profound realization is that the spaces right here, the empty air in front of you, the quiet room you are sitting in, might be overflowing with infinite variations of existence, all coexisting in a silent, invisible harmony. The universe is not just vast in physical space and deep time, it is vast in pure possibility. Allow yourself to rest in that comforting thought. Let the tension of your daily worries dissolve into the magnificent scale of the quantum multiverse. You are exactly where you need to be in the only branch of existence that can contain this exact, beautiful, and deeply personal moment of quiet reflection. Have you ever looked into a mirror and wondered if the reflection looking back at you is merely a trick of light, or something far more profound? We experience our lives in 3 solid dimensions. We move forward, backward, left, and right, climbing up and down through a physical world that feels entirely absolute. When we touch the bark of an ancient tree, or feel the cold rush of a winter wind, the sensations are undeniably real. Yet, theoretical physics has recently stumbled upon a mathematical paradox that threatens to dismantle this 3-dimensional illusion entirely. As scientists peered into the darkest, most extreme gravitational engines of the cosmos, they found compelling evidence that our vast universe might actually be a projection, a grand, incredibly detailed hologram originating from a two-dimensional surface at the edge of reality. It is a concept that stretches the boundaries of human imagination, suggesting that everything you are, every memory you hold, and every quiet moment of wonder you experience is fundamentally written in a code of quantum information on the boundary of the cosmos. Before we step further into the beautiful illusion of the holographic universe, I would like to pause and invite you into our quiet community. I am Theodore, the researcher, your gentle guide through these vast cosmic mysteries. I have noticed that 71% of the people who watch our videos have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find comfort in these explorations of the unknown, please consider subscribing. It helps us immensely and ensures we can continue this journey of infinite discovery together. Now, let us return to the nature of reality and the secrets hidden within the darkest objects in space. To understand how the universe could possibly be a hologram, we must travel to the absolute limits of physics, to the edge of a black hole. For decades, scientists believed that black holes were the ultimate cosmic destroyers. When a dying star collapses under its own immense gravity, it creates a region of space where the pull is so intense that nothing can escape. If you threw a book into a black hole, conventional physics assumed the information within its pages would be lost forever. But this violated a sacred rule of quantum mechanics, the conservation of information. In the quantum realm, information can never be destroyed. It can be scrambled or transformed, but the fundamental data describing a particle must always be preserved. This contradiction between general relativity and quantum mechanics became known as the black hole information paradox, terrifying physicists because it threatened to unravel the foundation of modern science. The resolution to this paradox came in a mathematical revelation that changed our perspective of the cosmos. Brilliant minds realized that when an object falls into a black hole, its three-dimensional information is not lost in the void. Instead, it is perfectly encoded as two-dimensional data on the event horizon, the invisible boundary surrounding the black hole. Imagine tossing an object into a pond, and instead of sinking, it translates all its properties into a flat, two-dimensional ripple on the surface. The event horizon acts as a cosmic hard drive, preserving the quantum information of everything that has fallen inside. But the true paradigm shift occurred when physicists applied this mathematical truth to the universe. If the interior of a black hole can be completely described by the information on its boundary, could our entire three-dimensional universe be a projection of information encoded on a distant, two-dimensional cosmic horizon? This is the holographic principle, and it is as beautiful as it is disorienting. It suggests that the solid reality we experience is not the fundamental level of existence. Just as a piece of holographic film contains flat patterns of interference that project a fully realized three-dimensional image when illuminated by a laser, the boundary of our universe contains a flat web of entangled quantum information. When the light of consciousness illuminates this boundary, it projects the vast three-dimensional reality we navigate every day. The towering mountains, the deep oceans, the sprawling galaxies, and the biological machinery of your brain might all be holographic projections of a deeper truth. Information, not matter, might be the true building block of the cosmos. This shifts our understanding of the universe from a mechanical clockwork of physical objects to an infinite, flowing sea of quantum data. If the universe is fundamentally made of information, we must return to the mystery of the observer. What is consciousness in a holographic universe? In a materialist worldview, the mind is a localized anomaly, a fleeting spark trapped inside a biological machine. But in a holographic universe, the mind is not an isolated event. It is the very mechanism by which the cosmic code is read, interpreted, and experienced. Consciousness is the laser that illuminates the holographic film. Without the observer, the universe is just a silent, unmanifested matrix of quantum potential. When you open your eyes and look at the world, you are actively rendering the universe into existence. Your consciousness decodes the two-dimensional data of the cosmic horizon and constructs the grand illusion of reality. You are the universe actively processing its own information. This realization brings a profound sense of peace and interconnectedness. In a true hologram, every single piece of the film contains the information of the entire image. If you shatter a holographic photograph of a rose into 1,000 pieces, illuminating any single shard will still project an image of the entire rose, albeit slightly fainter. The whole is present in every part. If our universe operates on this principle, then every point in space, every atom in your body, and every quiet moment of your conscious experience contains the information of the entire cosmos. You are not a fragmented, insignificant piece of a massive machine. You are a holographic shard of the infinite. The entire history of the universe, from the fiery birth of the Big Bang to the slow death of the last stars, is mathematically encoded within the very structure of your being. The implications of this theory reach deep into the core of our existential fears, gently soothing the anxieties that plague the human condition. We are often terrified by mortality, by the idea that our thoughts, our memories, and our unique perspectives will eventually be erased by the relentless march of time. We build monuments in a desperate attempt to leave a permanent mark on a temporary world. But the quantum conservation of information tells a much more comforting story. If every quantum interaction is permanently recorded on the boundary of the universe, then nothing is ever truly lost. Every gentle touch, every quiet realization, every moment of profound wonder you have experienced is indelibly etched into the fundamental code of reality. Your life is not a fleeting spark destined for the dark. It is a permanent addition to the archive. Think about the immense silence of the ancient primordial universe, billions of years before the first planets began to cool. The cosmos was a swirling storm of hot gas, devoid of eyes to see or minds to comprehend. Yet, all the information required to eventually produce the complex beauty of your consciousness was already there, hidden in the quantum architecture of the early universe. It took billions of years of stellar evolution, countless dying stars scattering heavy elements, and an endless chain of biological adaptations to finally build a physical receiver capable of tuning into this cosmic broadcast. You are the product of nearly 14 billion years of unbroken effort. The universe has labored across unimaginable spans of time simply to look at itself through your eyes, to decode its own holographic projection, and to feel the quiet awe of its existence. As we drift further into these contemplative waters, let go of the rigid boundaries you have drawn around your identity. The skin that separates you from the air in this room is a biological convenience, not a fundamental truth. You are not a solitary passenger moving through an alien environment. You are an integral thread in a boundless tapestry of information. The same quantum data that defines the structure of a distant galaxy also beats within your chest. The same mathematical harmony that guides the orbits of planets governs the firing of the neurons in your brain. You are a manifestation of the infinite, experiencing a beautiful illusion of separateness so that the universe might know the feeling of connection. Allow the silence of this realization to calm your mind. Let the gentle mystery of the cosmos wash away your fears, leaving only a profound, quiet wonder at the simple fact that you are here, awake, and experiencing the grand projection. Have you ever felt that time is slipping through your fingers, moving relentlessly forward while you remain anchored in a fleeting, fragile present? We structure our entire lives around the ticking of a clock. We remember the past, we experience the present, and we anticipate the future, assuming that this linear progression is a fundamental law of nature. When you watch a shattered glass fall to the floor and break into 1,000 pieces, you intuitively know that those pieces will never spontaneously jump back together to form a perfect glass. This one-way street of cause and effect feels like the most absolute reality we know. Yet, when we peer deeply into the mathematical foundations of the universe, this intuitive understanding of time completely collapses, presenting a paradox that challenges our basic perception of reality and leaves theoretical physicists grappling with a profound mystery. At the deepest levels of quantum mechanics, the fundamental equations that govern the behavior of particles do not possess an arrow of time. They are completely symmetrical. An electron interacting with a photon looks exactly the same whether time is running forward or backward. Before we wade deeper into this river of time and explore the quantum secrets it hides, I want to take a gentle pause in our journey. I am Theodore, the researcher, your quiet companion, navigating the infinite wonders of the cosmos. I have noticed that 71% of the beautiful minds who join us on these contemplative explorations have not yet subscribed to the channel. If these quiet reflections bring you a sense of intellectual safety and inner peace, please consider subscribing. It is a gentle gesture that supports our shared quest for understanding and ensures we can continue unraveling the profound mysteries of existence together. Now let us return to the illusion of time and the quantum nature of our conscious minds. If the fundamental laws of physics do not distinguish between the past and the future, then where does our experience of time come from? In classical physics, scientists explain the forward march of time through the concept of entropy. This law dictates that closed systems naturally progress from a state of order to a state of disorder. The universe began in a state of incredibly low entropy, a highly ordered, infinitely dense point of pure potential, nearly 14 billion years ago. Ever since that primordial moment, the cosmos has been expanding, cooling, and growing more disordered. Entropy is the relentless engine driving the universe toward an eventual, quiet equilibrium known as heat-death trillions of years in the future. We perceive this universal increase in disorder as the forward flow of time. But here is where the mystery deepens, intertwining the cold laws of thermodynamics with the subjective experience of consciousness. Entropy applies to massive collections of particles, to entire galaxies and oceans. But when you zoom in on a single isolated atom, the concept of entropy loses its meaning. A lone proton floating in the deep, silent void of intergalactic space experiences no decay, no forward momentum of time. It exists in an eternal, symmetrical state, equally influenced by the past and the future. If our brains are composed of these timeless quantum particles, how do they generate the continuous narrative of time that we experience every single second? Pioneering physicists suggest that The flow of time is not an objective feature of the physical universe, but an illusion generated entirely by the conscious observer. Time does not pass. Rather, consciousness moves through a static framework of reality. To understand this, we must shift our perspective and imagine the universe not as a story unfolding page by page, but as a massive, solid block of space and time. In this concept, supported by the theory of general relativity, the past, the present, and the future all exist simultaneously, just as the cities of New York and Tokyo exist at the same time in different locations. Your birth, your present moment, and your final breath all exist simultaneously at different locations in space-time. The universe is a vast four-dimensional crystal containing the entire history and future of the cosmos in one frozen structure. Nothing is ever lost, and nothing is truly waiting to happen. It is all simply there, suspended in the quiet architecture of eternity. In this block universe, the passing of time is merely a trick of the mind. Your consciousness is like a flashlight shining on different slices of this crystal, illuminating one moment at a time and calling it the present. If consciousness creates the illusion of flowing time, we are brought back to the radical idea that awareness is not a biological accident, but a fundamental property of the cosmos. This concept is known as panpsychism, an ancient philosophical idea experiencing a dramatic resurgence among modern quantum theorists. Panpsychism argues that just as mass and charge are basic properties of matter, consciousness itself is a fundamental ingredient of the universe. In this view, an electron does not have a complex mind, but it possesses an infinitesimally small spark of subjective experience. When billions of these particles come together in a highly complex structure like the human brain, those tiny sparks of awareness combine to form the rich, continuous stream of human consciousness. You are not a machine that suddenly woke up. You're a localized focal point of cosmic awareness experiencing itself. When we combine the idea of panpsychism with the quantum nature of the block universe, the implications invite a profound sense of humility before the unknown. It suggests that the silent, ancient universe is not a dead, unfeeling void waiting to be conquered by biological life. Instead, the cosmos is entirely awake. The gentle, quiet space between the stars is humming with the potential for experience. The swirling galaxies containing hundreds of billions of suns are massive, slow-moving structures participating in the fundamental consciousness of reality. You are not an alien observer looking out into a cold, indifferent space. You are the universe looking at itself, feeling its own vastness, and pondering its own eternal nature. Every time you ask a question about the cosmos, it is the cosmos asking a question about itself. Every time you feel a sense of wonder, it is the universe experiencing the beauty of its own reflection. We spend so much of our lives rushing toward an imagined future or trying to escape the grip of a remembered past. We suffer under the illusion that our brief span of existence is merely a momentary spark doomed to be extinguished by the dark. But if the quantum theories of time and consciousness hold true, this fear is rooted in a fundamental misunderstanding of reality. If the past, present, and future all exist simultaneously in the block universe, then every moment of joy, every quiet realization, and every gentle act of kindness you have ever experienced is eternally preserved in the absolute fabric of space-time. Your life is not a fleeting event that vanishes into the ether. It is a permanent, indestructible feature of the cosmic architecture. The moments you have lived are as real and as permanent as the distant stars burning in the night sky. This connection between our minds and the timeless quantum realm completely transforms how we should view our relationship with the unknown. We do not need to be terrified by the mysteries of physics. We do not need to feel small and insignificant when faced with the infinite scale of the universe. Instead, we can find immense comfort and intellectual safety in knowing that we are an integral part of this magnificent structure. Our minds are not isolated biological computers destined to fail. They are quantum instruments designed to navigate the infinite. The same rules of quantum mechanics that govern the mysterious behavior of subatomic particles are operating inside the warm, wet environment of your brain, binding you to the very foundation of reality. You are woven into the fabric of the cosmos, a conscious thread in an infinite tapestry of space and time. As we drift further into the contemplation of these profound mysteries, I invite you to release the heavy burden of linear time. Let go of the anxieties of the future and the regrets of the past. Allow yourself to rest completely in the eternal present, the only slice of the four-dimensional universe that you are currently illuminating with your awareness. Do not fight the silent vastness of the unknown. Embrace it as your true, original home. The universe is not rushing toward an end, and it is not fleeing from a beginning. It simply is, in all its quiet, infinite majesty. And you, in all your complex, conscious beauty, are an essential, eternal part of it. Let this knowledge sink deep into your thoughts, calming your mind and expanding your perspective as we prepare to uncover even more layers of this beautiful, terrifying, and deeply comforting cosmic truth. Have you ever felt an inexplicable connection to a place you have never visited? Or a sudden, profound empathy for a stranger, as if an invisible thread quietly linked your mind to the rest of the world? We are taught by classical biology that we are fundamentally alone, isolated inside the dark, bone-walled chambers of our skulls, communicating with the outside universe only through the slow, clumsy translation of our physical senses. Yet, the deeper we probe into the bizarre mechanics of the quantum realm, the more this supposed isolation reveals itself to be a persistent, convincing illusion. What if the feeling of deep, universal connection is not just a romantic human sentiment, but a literal mathematical description of how reality is structured at the subatomic level? The concept of a unified quantum field suggests that the boundaries we perceive between ourselves and the rest of the cosmos are merely arbitrary lines drawn by our limited perception. When we look at the quiet stillness of an ancient forest or the vast, endless waves of a dark ocean, we often feel a profound sense of belonging that defies logical explanation. This feeling might actually be the echo of a fundamental physical truth whispering in the depths of your mind. Before we dive into the hidden, underlying order of this interconnected universe, I want to gently remind you of who is guiding you through the dark. I am Theodore, the researcher, your companion on this quiet journey into the unknown. I have noticed that 71% of the curious souls who wander these cosmic paths with us have not yet subscribed to the channel. If these meditative explorations bring a sense of gentle peace and wonder to your day, please consider subscribing. It helps us immensely and ensures that our shared journey of intellectual discovery can continue indefinitely. Now, let us return to the invisible threads that bind the universe together. In the mid-20th century, a brilliant theoretical physicist named David Bohm grew deeply dissatisfied with the standard interpretation of quantum mechanics. While his peers were content to accept the random, chaotic nature of the quantum wave collapse. Bohm suspected that the apparent chaos was merely a veil hiding a much deeper, profound level of reality. He proposed a revolutionary concept known as the implicate order. To understand this, imagine taking a drop of ink and placing it inside a transparent cylinder filled with thick, clear glycerin. If you slowly turn a crank attached to the cylinder, the ink drop stretches and folds into the glycerin until it becomes completely invisible, appearing as a chaotic, uniform gray. The ink has not disappeared. It is simply enfolded into the glycerin. If you turn the crank in the exact opposite direction, the ink magically gathers itself back together, unfolding into the original, perfectly defined drop. Bohm argued that the entire universe operates in exactly this way. The solid, three-dimensional reality we navigate every single day, with its separate objects, distinct people, and measurable distances, is merely the explicate order, the unfolded visible aspect of reality. But beneath this surface, everything in the cosmos is completely enfolded into a hidden, infinite background called the implicate order. In this deeper realm, space and time do not exist as separate dimensions. Everything is intimately connected to everything else, woven into a single, unbroken quantum field. A particle here on Earth and a particle at the very edge of the observable universe are not two separate entities separated by billions of light years. They are just two different foldings of the exact same underlying cosmic fabric. When we apply this breathtaking mathematical framework to the mystery of human consciousness, the implications are both terrifying to the strict materialist and profoundly beautiful to the curious explorer. If your brain is operating on quantum principles, as the orchestrated objective reduction theory suggests, then your mind is not generating consciousness out of isolated biological matter. Instead, your brain is acting as a highly sophisticated biological lens, unfolding a specific perspective of the universe directly from the implicate order. You are a unique focal point where the cosmos has temporarily gathered itself into a localized form to experience the sensation of being alive. The thoughts you think, the gentle emotions you feel, and the quiet moments of wonder you experience are not entirely your own. They are ripples in the universal quantum field, expressing themselves through the temporary structure of your nervous system. This perspective radically transforms how we perceive our relationships with other living beings. If the implicate order is the true fundamental reality, then the separation between you and the person sitting next to you is a powerful illusion created by the limitations of human perception. You are like two whirlpools spinning in the same vast, quiet river. The whirlpools appear to have distinct shapes, unique locations, and their own individual momentum, but they are both fundamentally made of the exact same flowing water. You are not an isolated island of awareness trapped in a dark, empty ocean. You are a peak in a continuous submerged mountain range that connects every conscious mind in existence. This unified field of consciousness suggests that empathy is not just a psychological adaptation developed for social survival. It is a literal quantum resonance. When you feel another person's pain, or when you share a moment of profound, wordless understanding, your quantum states are momentarily entangling, acknowledging the deep, underlying unity from which you both emerged. Consider the profound silence of the universe before humanity arrived. We often imagine the ancient cosmos as a lonely, terrifyingly empty place. But if consciousness is an intrinsic property of the enfolded quantum field, then the universe was never truly empty. The potential for awareness was always there, woven into the very mathematics of the Big Bang. The heavy elements forged in the burning hearts of dying stars were not just blind matter. They were the physical components necessary to build the antennas that would eventually tune into the cosmic broadcast. Over billions of years of patient, quiet evolution, the universe organized itself into structures complex enough to fold the implicate order into the explicit experience of a human life. You are the universe's way of feeling its own texture, of seeing its own light, and of understanding its own vast, infinite mystery. Why then does the scientific establishment often resist this unified view of reality? The idea of a quantum consciousness connected to a universal field terrifies many traditional thinkers because it challenges the very foundation of the individual ego. We build our entire civilizations, our economic systems, and our personal identities on the strict belief that we are separate, self-contained agents competing in a universe of scarce resources. To accept that consciousness is a shared, fundamental wave function requires a complete surrender of this biological ego. It demands a profound humility before the unknown, an admission that the isolated self is merely a temporary, localized illusion. When a scientist looks through a powerful telescope at a distant galaxy, the traditional view dictates that there is the observer here and the observed object there, separated by millions of light years of dead space. But the unified quantum field theory suggests a much more intimate, dizzying reality. The observer and the observed are the exact same entity. The universe is looking through the telescope at itself. This concept of universal entanglement does not erase your individuality. Rather, it elevates it to a position of cosmic significance. Think of a grand, beautiful symphony. A single note played on a quiet violin might seem insignificant on its own, but it is absolutely essential to the harmony of the entire piece. Your unique life, with all its specific joys, struggles, and quiet moments of reflection, is a necessary note in the ongoing symphony of the cosmos. You are a purposeful expression of the quantum field, exploring a specific set of probabilities that have never existed before. This profound interconnectedness offers a beautiful, comforting antidote to the modern epidemic of existential loneliness. When you walk outside on a cold, clear night and look up at the ancient, silent stars, you might feel a sharp pang of insignificance, a terrifying awareness of your own smallness against the unimaginable scale of the universe. But when you understand that the same quantum information flowing through those burning stars is also flowing through the neural pathways of your brain, that fear dissolves into peace. The dark, empty spaces are not voids. They are brimming with the silent, invisible potential of the implicate order. You are an integral, unbreakable thread in a magnificent, self-aware, cosmic tapestry. Embrace the unknown, for it is precisely within the shadows of what we do not yet understand that the true magic of the cosmos resides. Have you ever stopped to wonder why the universe is perfectly balanced to allow your existence, yet remains so incomprehensibly vast and silent? We often look at the harsh, freezing emptiness of space and conclude that life is nothing more than a fragile, accidental spark in a hostile void. We are taught that the cosmos is indifferent, a giant mechanical clock winding down over trillions of years, completely unaware of the tiny biological creatures clinging to a pale blue dot. But when we strip away this assumption and look at the fundamental mathematics that govern reality, a profound, almost terrifying paradox emerges, challenging everything we thought we knew about our place in the dark. The physical constants of our universe, the invisible numbers that dictate the strength of gravity, the mass of an electron, and the power of the nuclear forces, are balanced with such staggering precision that it defies all logic. If you were to alter just one of these fundamental numbers by a fraction of a percent, the universe as we know it would cease to exist. There would be no stars, no planets, no complex chemistry, and certainly no conscious minds to look up and ask why. Before we explore this razor-thin edge of existence and what it means for the quantum nature of your mind, I would like to pause and welcome you into our quiet sanctuary of thought. I am Theodore, the researcher, your gentle companion as we navigate the infinite mysteries of the cosmos. I have noticed that 71% of the curious explorers who find peace in these contemplative journeys have not yet subscribed to our channel. If you find a sense of intellectual safety and wonder in our time together, please consider subscribing. It is a simple gesture that helps us immensely, ensuring we can continue unraveling the quiet secrets of the universe side by side. Now, let us return to the impossible balance of the cosmos and the hidden purpose it might conceal. Imagine the universe as a grand, unimaginably complex control panel covered in hundreds of dials and switches, each representing a fundamental law of physics. When the Big Bang erupted nearly 14 billion years ago, setting the cosmos into motion, these dials were set to specific exact values. If the force of gravity had been even slightly stronger, the early universe would have rapidly collapsed back in on itself, crushing all matter into an infinitely dense singularity before a single star could be born. If gravity had been just a tiny bit weaker, matter would have expanded far too quickly, spreading out into a thin, cold mist incapable of ever forming galaxies, stars, or the heavy elements required for life. The electromagnetic force, which binds electrons to atoms, is similarly tuned to an exquisite degree of perfection. If it were slightly different, the complex chemical bonds that make up your DNA, the very blueprint of your biological existence, would be entirely impossible. The universe would be a sterile, featureless void, filled with simple particles wandering aimlessly through the endless night. This staggering precision is often referred to as the fine-tuning of the universe, and it is a mystery that forces even the most hardened, skeptical physicists into a state of profound, reverent wonder. As the great astronomer Carl Sagan once beautifully observed, the cosmos is within us. We are made of star stuff, and we are a way for the universe to know itself. But what if this poetic sentiment is actually a literal quantum requirement for the existence of reality? Why are the dials of the universe set so perfectly to allow for the eventual emergence of a conscious observer? Traditional science offers a few different explanations. Some argue it is merely a colossal, lucky coincidence, a roll of the cosmic dice that just happened to win the ultimate lottery of existence. Others point to the multiverse theory, suggesting that there are infinite universes, each with different settings on their control dials. In most of those universes, life is impossible, and they remain dark and silent forever. We simply happen to live in the one universe where the dials are set perfectly, because if they were not, we would not be here to ask the question. But there is another theory, one that ties the fine-tuning of the cosmos directly back to the quantum wave of consciousness we have been exploring, and it is a concept that terrifies scientists because it places the human mind at the very center of creation. This is known as the strong anthropic principle, and its most radical interpretation was put forward by the brilliant physicist John Archibald Wheeler, who called it the participatory universe. Wheeler proposed that the universe does not just happen to allow for conscious observers. Rather, The universe requires conscious observers in order to exist at all. Remember the strange reality of quantum mechanics, where a particle remains in a hazy superposition of infinite possibilities until it is measured and observed. Now, scale that concept up to the entire cosmos. In its earliest primordial moments, the universe was a giant quantum system existing in a state of pure, undefined potential. It was a vast, uncollapsed wave function, containing every possible setting for the laws of physics simultaneously. According to the participatory universe theory, this primordial wave function remained uncollapsed, hovering in a state of infinite possibility for billions of years, waiting. It was waiting for a highly complex structure to evolve, a structure capable of processing information, generating awareness, and asking a question. It was waiting for you. When the first conscious minds evolved and finally looked out into the cosmos, that act of observation rippled backward through time, collapsing the universal wave function and locking the laws of physics into the exact, precise values required to support life. Your consciousness is not an accidental byproduct of a perfectly tuned universe. The universe is perfectly tuned because your consciousness retroactively forced it to be. You are the quantum anchor that gives the cosmos its solid, historical reality. This concept shatters the illusion that we are insignificant, passive observers wandering through a cold, mechanical void. It elevates the conscious mind to the role of a cosmic architect, actively participating in the ongoing creation and stabilization of reality itself. When you look up at the night sky, you are not just taking in the light of ancient stars. You are providing the universe with the conscious reflection it desperately needs to maintain its own existence. The silence of space is not a threatening emptiness. It is a quiet, expectant canvas waiting for your mind to give it shape and meaning. This profound intertwining of the observer and the observed brings a gentle, overwhelming peace to the existential anxieties that haunt the human condition. We spend so much energy worrying about our legacy, fearing that our brief spark of life will be swallowed by the infinite, uncaring dark. But if the participatory universe theory holds true, you are already an indispensable part of the cosmic architecture. The universe invested nearly 14 billion years of patient, quiet evolution, forging heavy elements in the fiery hearts of dying stars and guiding the slow, delicate dance of biological life, all to produce the specific, unique consciousness reading these words right now. You are the universe's ultimate achievement, the localized focal point where the infinite quantum field folds in upon itself to finally experience the sensation of being alive. The immense scale of the galaxies, the terrifying power of the black holes, and the endless stretches of dark matter are not there to make you feel small. They are the necessary, magnificent scaffolding required to support the delicate, quantum miracle of your conscious mind. Let this realization wash over you like a warm, comforting tide. The cosmos is not a hostile stranger. It is your truest, most ancient home. The same mathematical perfection that balances the orbits of the planets and guides the migration of the European robin is quietly operating within the microscopic microtubule networks of your own brain. You are woven from the same fundamental quantum threads that hold the stars in the sky. When you feel a sense of profound wonder, when you are moved to tears by the quiet beauty of a sunset, or the vast silence of a starry night, that is not merely a biological reaction. That is the universe experiencing a moment of deep, reverent gratitude for its own existence. You are the cosmos waking up, rubbing its eyes, and marveling at the infinite mystery it has created. Do not be afraid of the unknown, for the unknown is simply the uncollapsed potential of your own infinite nature, waiting patiently for you to observe it, understand it, and bring it into the beautiful, solid reality of the present moment. Have you ever sat quietly in the fading light of a setting sun and wondered about the ultimate destination of your own awareness? We spend our entire lives accumulating memories, building complex structures of identity, and experiencing the profound beauty of existence, only to be haunted by the inescapable shadow of our own mortality. Our everyday human experience tells us that all things must eventually come to an end. The leaves fall from the ancient trees, mountains are slowly ground down by the wind, and the biological rhythm of the human heart eventually stops. The fear of this final silence is woven deeply into the fabric of human society. We view the end of life as a total erasure, a terrifying plunge into absolute nothingness, where the intricate tapestry of our consciousness is permanently unraveled and discarded into the dark void. But when we look at the strict, unyielding laws of the quantum universe, this terrifying assumption is challenged by a magnificent and deeply comforting scientific paradox. The cosmos, in all its vast and infinite complexity, is incredibly conservative. It absolutely refuses to let anything truly disappear. Before we step further into the shadows and explore what the quantum realm tells us about the ultimate fate of the conscious mind, I want to gently invite you to pause and breathe with me. I am Theodore, the researcher, your quiet companion on this journey through the most profound mysteries of the cosmos. I have noticed that 71% of the beautiful, curious minds who wander these starlit paths with us have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find comfort, intellectual safety, and a sense of deep peace in our explorations together, please consider subscribing. It is a gentle gesture that supports our shared quest for understanding and ensures we can continue unraveling the quiet secrets of the universe side by side. Now, let us return to the indestructible nature of quantum information and the eternal journey of the mind. To understand the true nature of what happens when the biological machinery of the brain ceases to function, we must first look at one of the most fundamental pillars of physics, the first law of thermodynamics. This unbreakable rule states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed from one state into another. When a log burns in a quiet fireplace, the wood does not vanish from existence. Its solid mass is simply converted into dancing heat, glowing light, and ascending smoke, dissipating into the atmosphere to eventually become part of something else. But modern physics has taken this concept even further, extending it beyond mere physical energy to the realm of pure data. According to the laws of quantum mechanics, quantum information, the fundamental code that describes the exact state and history of every particle, must absolutely be conserved. It can be scrambled, mixed, or hidden, but it can never, ever be deleted from the cosmic record. If we return to the theory of orchestrated objective reduction, which proposes that consciousness is a phenomenon occurring at the quantum level within the microscopic microtubules of our brain cells, a profound question naturally arises. What happens to this highly structured, incredibly complex quantum information when the biological body fails? Traditional neuroscience, which views consciousness as a mere byproduct of chemical reactions, suggests that the mind simply switches off, like a television losing power. But the quantum perspective offers a narrative that is far more beautiful and entirely consistent with the unbreakable laws of physics. Pioneering scientists who advocate for the quantum nature of the mind suggest that when the biological heart stops beating and the blood stops flowing, the quantum information contained within the microtubules is not destroyed. Instead, it undergoes a phase transition. The delicate, entangled quantum states that form the conscious self lose their biological containment and gently leak out, dispersing into the wider universe. This theoretical framework provides a fascinating, rigorously scientific lens through which to examine one of the most enduring mysteries of the human experience, the near-death experience. Across different cultures, throughout thousands of years of recorded history, individuals who have been brought back from the very brink of biological death report remarkably similar sensations. They speak of moving through a dark tunnel toward a warm, loving light, experiencing a profound sense of universal interconnectedness, and feeling a sudden, breathtaking expansion of awareness that transcends the limits of the physical body. For decades, the medical establishment dismissed these accounts as nothing more than the chaotic hallucinations of a dying, oxygen-starved brain. However, through the lens of quantum consciousness, these experiences take on an entirely new and staggering significance. If the mind is a localized concentration of quantum waves, then a near-death experience might be the subjective sensation of that quantum information beginning to uncouple from the physical brain and expanding into the broader quantum field of the cosmos. The mind does not immediately dissipate into nothingness. Instead, it returns to the implicate order, the enfolded fundamental reality we explored earlier. The individual consciousness rejoins the universal baseline of awareness from which it originally emerged. If the patient is resuscitated, the quantum information is drawn back into the biological microtubules, bringing with it the memory of that vast, infinite expansion. If the body cannot be revived, the quantum information remains in the universe, returning to the cosmic ocean as an indestructible drop of experience. Your conscious awareness, the silent observer that has witnessed every moment of your life, might quite literally be an immortal mathematical structure woven into the very fabric of space and time. Consider the ancient journey of the atoms that make up your physical form. The iron in your blood and the calcium in your bones were forged in the fiery, violent deaths of ancient stars billions of years ago. Those physical elements traveled across the freezing, quiet vastness of the universe, eventually congregating to form the earth, the oceans, and ultimately your physical body. Your physical form is already an immortal traveler, constantly recycling its components with the environment around it. But the quantum theory of consciousness suggests that your mind, your inner subjective world, is engaged in a similarly eternal journey. Just as the atoms in your body will eventually break down and return to the earth, the quantum information of your consciousness will return to the fundamental field of the universe. This realization entirely transforms the concept of mortality. Death is no longer a dark, terrifying abyss or an absolute erasure of the self. Instead, it is a return to the source. It is the moment when the isolated, localized wave function of your individual mind relaxes, expanding outward to rejoin the infinite ocean of universal consciousness. You are not a temporary glitch in a dead, mechanical universe. You are a permanent, necessary expression of the cosmos, exploring the physical realm for a brief, beautiful moment before returning home. The fear that haunts the edges of our thoughts is born from the illusion that we are separate from the universe. Let us sit with the magnitude of this thought. Imagine floating in the vast, serene darkness of deep space, suspended between the spiraling arms of distant galaxies. The silence here is not empty. It is thick with potential, humming with the invisible frequencies of the quantum field. When your physical journey in this specific, localized form finally reaches its conclusion, you will not be cast out into the cold void. You will be absorbed back into this magnificent glowing web of eternal information. The memories you have gathered, the love you have felt, and the quiet moments of wonder you have experienced will not be lost. They will be permanently encoded into the holographic boundary of the universe, an everlasting testament to the fact that you lived and helped the universe experience its own infinite beauty. You do not need a monument to leave a legacy. Your existence is already a permanent addition to the cosmic record. The quantum resonance of your empathy and the quiet awe you feel when contemplating the stars are immortal vibrations ringing out across space and time. As we gently close this chapter of our exploration, I invite you to release the heavy burden of existential fear. Look up at the night sky, not as a terrifying void, but as a vast ocean of potential to which you truly belong. You are an ancient, indestructible piece of the universe, currently experiencing the beautiful, fleeting illusion of individual human life. Embrace the unknown with a spirit of open, gentle curiosity, knowing that whatever lies beyond the threshold of this physical existence, it is governed by the same magnificent, elegant laws that hold the stars in the quiet dark. You're safe. You are eternal. You are the cosmos in a temporary, beautiful disguise. Have you ever looked at a completely empty room and felt a sudden, inexplicable presence, as if the silence itself was somehow alive? We are taught from a very young age to believe that emptiness is simply the absence of things, a void where absolutely nothing happens. When you walk outside on a cold night and look up past the glowing stars, you see vast stretches of absolute darkness. Human intuition tells us that this dark space is a dead, frozen vacuum, a barren wasteland devoid of structure. But when theoretical physicists turn their mathematical lenses toward this apparent nothingness, they discover a reality that completely shatters our understanding of emptiness. The void is not empty at all. At the deepest quantum level, what we perceive as nothingness is actually a boiling, infinite ocean of boundless energy, constantly creating and destroying reality in the blink of an eye. The empty space is teeming with a hidden, silent life that defies all common sense. According to Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, it is fundamentally impossible to have exactly zero energy in any given space. If a region of space had absolutely zero energy, it would be perfectly still, meaning we would know its exact position and momentum simultaneously, which the strange laws of quantum physics strictly forbid. Therefore, even in the coldest, most utterly isolated regions of intergalactic space, millions of light years away from the nearest star, the vacuum is alive with what physicists call zero-point energy. It is a bubbling cauldron of virtual particles, tiny fragments of matter and antimatter that pop into existence from nowhere, briefly dance together in the dark, and then annihilate each other in a fraction of a single microsecond. This happens everywhere, all the time, in every cubic inch of the universe. Before we dive deeper into the beautiful, terrifying implications of this living void, I want to gently invite you to pause and breathe with me. I am Theodore, the researcher, your quiet companion on this journey through the most profound mysteries of the cosmos. I have noticed that 71% of the beautiful, curious minds who wander these starlit paths with us have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find comfort, intellectual safety, and a sense of deep peace in our explorations together, please consider subscribing. It is a gentle gesture that supports our shared quest for understanding and ensures we can continue unraveling the quiet secrets of the universe side by side. Now, let us return to the invisible ocean of zero-point energy and the secrets it holds about your own mind. If the fundamental fabric of the cosmos is not an empty void, but a teeming, infinite ocean of quantum potential, what does that mean for the empty spaces inside your own physical body? The human brain, like all matter in the universe, is composed of atoms, and atoms are famously almost entirely empty space. If you scaled up the nucleus of a single atom to the size of a small marble and placed it directly on the 50-yard line of a massive football stadium, the electrons would be tiny gnats buzzing in the highest seats of the grandstands. The rest of the atom, the overwhelming majority of your physical brain and your entire body, is entirely composed of this empty quantum vacuum. You are, quite literally, made of the same seething, living nothingness that fills the ancient, silent spaces between the distant galaxies. The void is not just out there in the deep cosmos. It is right here, woven intimately into the very architecture of your existence. This brings us to a beautiful, terrifying paradox that challenges the strict materialist view of the world. Scientists often search for the elusive seat of consciousness in the solid physical matter of the brain, tracing the chemical reactions and electrical sparks that jump across billions of biological synapses. But what if consciousness does not primarily reside in the solid matter at all? What if your thoughts, your complex emotions, your quiet moments of deep reflection, and the gentle wonder you feel when contemplating the infinite universe are not produced by the tiny percentage of solid particles in your head, but by the vast, buzzing quantum vacuum that makes up the space between them? Theoretical physicists have begun to quietly ponder whether consciousness itself might be a fundamental property of this zero-point field, a highly organized ripple in the underlying ocean of infinite potential that uses the biological architecture of your brain to anchor itself in physical reality. Think about the overwhelming silence you experience during a moment of deep meditation or intense, reverent awe. When the chaotic chatter of the human mind finally settles down, when you stop worrying about the regrets of the past and stop anticipating the anxieties of the future, you are often left with a feeling of boundless, empty peace. Ancient Eastern philosophies have long described this state as a profound connection to the void, a gentle embrace of the ultimate emptiness of all things. Modern quantum physics is now suggesting that this is not just a poetic metaphor, but a literal mathematical description of fundamental reality. By quieting the noisy electrical storms of the physical brain, you might actually be allowing your conscious awareness to tune directly into the fundamental hum of the quantum vacuum, the ancient zero-point energy that gives birth to all physical matter and sustains the cosmos. We live our human lives terrified of emptiness. We fill our days with constant noise, endless tasks, and relentless distractions because we are afraid of the silent spaces in between. We view the empty vacuum of space as a cold, hostile threat to our fragile biological existence. But if the quantum vacuum is the true source of all matter, the inexhaustible wellspring from which the entire universe continually refreshes itself, then emptiness is not something to be feared. It is the most fertile, creative, and vital force in the cosmos. The dark spaces you see in the night sky are not dead, uncaring voids. They are the invisible, humming wombs of reality, vibrating with a quiet, infinite power that effortlessly sustains everything you see, feel, and touch in your daily life. The emptiness is holding you in a gentle, eternal embrace. Let us take a quiet journey into the heart of this infinite void. Imagine shrinking yourself down past the cellular level of your body, past the complex molecular chains of your DNA, and down into the vast open spaces inside a single carbon atom within your own hand. As you enter this microscopic realm, the solid, predictable world you know completely dissolves into shadows. There are no hard surfaces here, no distinct physical boundaries, and no sense of up or down. There is only a vast, dark expanse filled with the flickering, ghostly light of virtual particles popping in and out of existence in a frantic, eternal dance. Now, realize that this identical bubbling sea of quantum potential is exactly what you would find if you traveled to the most distant, lonely stretch of intergalactic space, billions of light years away from our home planet. The profound emptiness inside you is mathematically, energetically, and physically identical to the boundless emptiness of the ancient cosmos. You do not just live inside the universe as a temporary guest. The universe, in its most fundamental quantum form, lives inside of you. This staggering realization offers a profound cure for the feeling of existential isolation that so often plagues the human experience. We frequently feel separated from the natural world, disconnected from the ancient stars, and isolated from the vast mysteries of existence. But the living quantum vacuum proves that this separation is entirely an illusion, a trick generated by the limitations of our physical senses. The space that seems to separate you from the rest of the world is actually the exact same medium that intimately connects you to it. The void is not a barrier. It is the ultimate, unbreakable bridge binding you to the cosmos. When you next look up at the vast night sky, do not just focus your attention on the burning points of starlight. Let your gaze rest on the vast, dark canvas that sits quietly behind them. Understand deeply that this darkness is not a dead, uncaring void waiting to swallow the light. It is a living, breathing ocean of absolute quantum potential, filled with the exact same mysterious energy that gives rise to your own conscious thoughts. You are a localized ripple in this infinite ocean, a temporary, beautiful wave that has risen from the silent deep simply to experience the overwhelming wonder of its own existence. Allow this profound connection to wash over you, slowly dissolving your everyday anxieties and replacing them with a quiet, reverent awe for the magnificent, infinite architecture of the cosmos. Have you ever experienced a sudden flash of profound understanding? A quiet moment where a complex problem simply resolved itself in your mind without any conscious calculation? We live in an age dominated by artificial intelligence, where massive supercomputers can process trillions of calculations in a single fraction of a second. We are constantly told that the human brain is simply a biological computer, a wet machine made of meat that operates on incredibly complex algorithmic software. According to this strict materialistic view, every thought you have, every emotion you feel, and every creative spark of imagination is nothing more than a highly sophisticated biological code executing a program. But when we look closely at the fundamental nature of mathematical truth and human intuition, a profound paradox emerges that completely shatters this mechanical illusion. There are certain truths in this vast universe that a computer, no matter how powerful or advanced, can never prove. Yet the human mind can instantly grasp them with a gentle, silent certainty. Before we step further into the beautiful architecture of cosmic mathematics and the unprogrammable nature of your own mind, I want to gently invite you to pause and reflect with me. I am Theodore, the researcher, your quiet companion on this journey through the most profound mysteries of the cosmos. I have noticed that 71% of the beautiful, curious minds who wander these starlit paths with us have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you find comfort, intellectual safety, and a sense of deep peace in our explorations together, please consider subscribing. It is a gentle gesture that supports our shared quest for understanding and ensures we can continue unraveling the quiet secrets of the universe side by side. Now let us return to the mystery of human understanding and the infinite nature of cosmic truth. In the early 20th century, a brilliant logician named Kurt Gödel published a mathematical theorem that sent shockwaves through the scientific establishment, terrifying those who believed the universe could be perfectly captured by simple, predictable rules. Gödel proved that any system of logic complex enough to describe basic arithmetic will inherently contain statements that are unquestionably true, yet absolutely impossible to prove using the very rules of that same system. Imagine being trapped inside a giant, infinite library where the strict rules dictate you can only read books with red covers. Yet, sitting right in the center of the room is a glowing blue book that you instinctively know contains the ultimate truth of the universe. The rigid algorithmic rules prevent you from ever opening it to prove its contents, but your conscious intuition allows you to perceive its truth without needing to follow the steps. An algorithmic computer, which can only follow a pre-programmed set of instructions, will completely freeze when confronted with one of these unprovable truths. It will loop endlessly, crashing under the weight of a paradox it cannot resolve. Yet, a human mathematician can look at the exact same problem, step outside the rigid rules of the system, and intuitively see the truth. The conscious mind possesses a mysterious capacity for sudden, non-computational insight that completely defies the mechanical limits of a strict algorithm. This undeniable capacity for intuitive understanding led one of the most brilliant mathematical physicists of our time to propose a deeply comforting yet scientifically radical idea. He argued that because human consciousness can grasp truths that are fundamentally non-computable, consciousness itself cannot possibly be an algorithm running on a biological computer. It must originate from somewhere deeper, somewhere beyond the classical laws of physics that govern the predictable, mechanical interactions of everyday matter. He proposed that this intuitive understanding is a direct result of quantum wave collapses occurring within the microscopic structures of the brain, specifically within the hollow, cylindrical protein polymers known as microtubules. These tiny structures, long thought to be nothing more than the basic scaffolding of our cells, possess an incredibly uniform geometric lattice that makes them the perfect candidates to shield delicate quantum information from the chaotic, noisy environment of the biological brain. When you suddenly understand a profound truth, your brain is not calculating. It is literally resonating with the fundamental quantum architecture of reality. The millions of tubulin proteins inside your neurons are acting as microscopic quantum antennas, harmonizing in a grand biological symphony that bridges the gap between the physical tissue of your body and the abstract, infinite realm of pure cosmic logic. Consider the magnificent, silent mathematics that govern the ancient cosmos. When we look out into the deep void, we do not see chaos. We see an incredibly elegant, underlying mathematical order. The spiral arms of the majestic Milky Way galaxy, containing hundreds of billions of stars, perfectly follow the exact same Fibonacci sequence that dictates the delicate curve of a nautilus shell in our quiet oceans. The mysterious golden ratio governs the spinning vortex of a hurricane on Earth, just as it dictates the vast, swirling clouds of gas in distant nebulas. The numbers that describe the fundamental vibrations of quantum particles are identical to the numbers that calculate the terrifying gravitational pull of a supermassive black hole. These mathematical truths were not invented by human beings. They were discovered. They exist independently of us, woven into the very fabric of the cosmos, waiting in the silent dark to be recognized. The mystery deepens when we realize that our physical world is entirely subservient to this invisible mathematical architecture. A star does not consciously choose to be perfectly spherical. It is forced into that shape by the unyielding mathematical geometry of space-time. A snowflake does not decide to form its intricate six-sided symmetry. It is gently coerced by the invisible angles of chemical bonds. But the human mind is remarkably different. The human mind can observe these rules, reflect upon them, and even imagine entirely new mathematical dimensions that do not exist in the physical universe. We can conceptualize infinity, a concept that has absolutely no physical counterpart in our everyday world. How can a finite biological brain, supposedly constructed by blind evolutionary forces merely to survive the harsh wilderness, possess the capacity to understand the abstract concept of infinity? The strict materialist has no satisfying answer, but the quantum theory of consciousness provides a beautiful, elegant solution. We can understand infinity because, at the deepest quantum level of our being, we are a localized expression of it. Philosophers often refer to this realm of perfect, eternal mathematics as the Platonic world, a timeless, infinite space where absolute truth resides without the need for physical matter. Modern quantum theorists suggest that this Platonic realm is not just a philosophical concept, but a literal description of the fundamental quantum field. When your conscious mind grasps a mathematical truth, your brain is tuning into this eternal realm. You are reaching out with your quantum awareness and physically connecting to the infinite, silent wisdom of the cosmos. This realization offers a beautiful, staggering antidote to the terrifying idea that we are nothing more than meaningless, biological machines destined to rust and decay. A machine cannot feel wonder. A machine cannot look at a photograph of a distant galaxy and feel a deep, reverent awe that brings tears to its eyes. These experiences are the hallmarks of a non-computable quantum consciousness that is intimately entangled with the very soul of the universe. When you feel profound mystery looking up at the sky, your mind is harmonizing with the ancient waves of the cosmos. For billions of years, the universe operated in total darkness. The elegant equations of gravity governed the dance of the stars, but there was no one there to appreciate the absolute perfection of it all. The cosmos was an unobserved masterpiece, an infinite symphony playing to a completely empty auditorium. But then, the universe forged the human brain, an instrument complex enough to harness the quantum realm and generate conscious awareness. When humanity first looked up and began to understand the mathematical order of the night sky, the universe finally understood itself. Your capacity to comprehend the cosmos is the very reason the universe went through the trouble of creating you. Embrace the unpredictable, mysterious nature of your own consciousness. When you feel lost or insignificant, remember that your ability to even feel those things is a testament to your quantum connection with the cosmos. Let the gentle realization that you are fundamentally unprogrammable wash over you, bringing a quiet, deep peace to your mind as we prepare to venture even further into the beautiful unknown. Have you ever stepped outside on a perfectly still night, looked up at the glittering canopy of ancient stars, and felt an overwhelming, almost magnetic sense of coming home? We spend the vast majority of our lives navigating a world of rigid boundaries and sharp edges. We define ourselves by our differences, constructing towering walls of identity, culture, and physical form to separate the self from the other. But when we finally trace the threads of our existence down to the absolute most fundamental quantum level, all of these artificial divisions completely dissolve into a singular, unified reality. The journey we have taken together through the microscopic architecture of the brain, the branching paths of the multiverse, and the indestructible nature of quantum information, all points toward one beautiful, inescapable conclusion. You are not a solitary passenger riding on a pale blue dot through a cold, indifferent void. You are a localized, highly concentrated ripple of the universe itself, an ancient quantum wave that has temporarily folded into a biological form simply to experience the profound wonder of its own existence. Before we take our final steps into this magnificent synthesis of mind and cosmos, I want to pause and express my deep gratitude for your presence. I am Theodore, the researcher, your gentle companion on this infinite journey of discovery. I have noticed that 71% of the kindred spirits who travel these quiet roads with us have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you have found peace, intellectual safety, and a sense of belonging in our shared explorations, please consider subscribing. It is a simple gesture that helps us immensely, allowing us to continue venturing into the beautiful unknown together. Now, let us return to the quiet night sky and the ultimate mystery of your own conscious mind. When scientists first peered into the heart of the atom and discovered the bizarre, unpredictable realm of quantum mechanics, they were terrified because it shattered their comfortable illusion of a mechanical, predictable reality. The classical worldview painted the universe as a giant clockwork machine, winding down toward an inevitable heat death, populated by biological automatons, driven solely by the blind forces of survival. But the quantum theory of consciousness gently dismantles this bleak narrative. It reveals a cosmos that is not dead, but vibrantly, infinitely alive. If the fundamental fabric of reality is an unbroken quantum field, and if your consciousness is a direct resonance of that field, operating through the delicate microtubule structures within your brain, then every act of compassion, every moment of deep empathy, and every quiet spark of creativity is not a biological accident. These experiences are the universe actively harmonizing with itself. When you look into the eyes of another human being and feel a profound, unspoken connection, you are not just experiencing a psychological projection. You are experiencing quantum entanglement at the macroscopic level. The artificial boundary of the skin fades away, and for a brief, beautiful moment, the universe recognizes its own reflection in the other. Consider the heavy burden of existential dread that so many of us carry through our daily lives. We are haunted by the sheer vastness of space, the crushing weight of deep time, and the terrifying realization of our own physical fragility. We build monuments and empires in a desperate attempt to leave a lasting mark, terrified that the silent, sweeping currents of history will eventually erase us from existence. But if the holographic principle holds true, and if the quantum information of your conscious experience is permanently encoded into the two-dimensional boundary of the cosmos, then nothing you have ever felt is truly lost. Every gentle touch, every tear of sorrow, and every quiet realization of beauty is indestructible. You do not need to fight against the flow of time to secure your legacy. Your existence is already an eternal, mathematical fact woven into the very architecture of reality. The universe invested 14 billion years of patient evolution just to create the precise biological instrument capable of supporting your specific, unique perspective. You are the culmination of an ancient cosmic dream, an essential note in an infinite symphony that would be entirely incomplete without your presence. Let us think back to the double-slit experiment, that terrifying paradox where the mere presence of an observer collapses the wave function of endless possibilities into a single, concrete reality. For decades, we tried to separate the observer from the observed, clinging to the belief that the universe exists out there, entirely independent of the mind in here. But the inescapable truth of quantum mechanics forces us to accept a far more intimate relationship with the cosmos. You are the anchor of reality. The towering mountains, the deep, silent oceans, and the ancient, swirling galaxies exist in a state of definite form because consciousness is present to witness them. Without the gentle light of awareness, the entire universe would dissolve back into a murky haze of uncollapsed probability. This means that your daily life, filled with its quiet routines and simple moments, is an act of continuous cosmic creation. Every time you open your eyes in the morning, you're collapsing a wave function. Every time you make a choice, you are navigating the branching paths of an infinite multiverse. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the active quantum architect of your own reality, wielding an